Hello everyone, welcome to Rail Natter. Yes, it's here. It's episode 159. Why Britain's railway headquarters won't be in Derby. Oh, I needed that. Let's LBC maybe move the camera. Let me readjust this back. I think that's that. There we go. That. I think that's that. I think that's about right. That's everything framed as we like to. Years of continuity ruined for Andrew Marr for a 3-minute slot that was compressed too short and could have been an interesting chat if it was any longer. Anyway, never mind. Right, enough of my face. Let us crack on. It's episode 159, which means... Excuse me. Sorry I'm late, by the way, everyone. I'm half an hour late. For the audio-only listeners, you don't know or care. It's episode 159, which means you have to shout out the Class 159, which is just an extended Class 158. I don't know that there. I think there's some electromechanical differences, but not many. So yes, the 159003 here looking a bit shonky. In where is that? Is that Salisbury? Possibly, probably. In the toothpaste livery, it's kind of, I definitely prefer it in provincial / regional railways livery. But anyway, there we are. Also, what's funny is it's got its running number on the front there. It's very much squint, isn't it? That's definitely squint. Anyway, that's it. That's all there is to say. Let's get cracking on this one because I'm already late and you've been waiting long enough. Everyone's sat here waiting for half an hour. I'm so sorry. Welcome to tonight's show. Oh wait, no. Yes, now I can do it. Welcome to tonight's Rail Natter. City 225 fades away and all of you have your eardrums blown out by the difference in levels between those two bits of snipped together music. It's news time. Let's get on with the news, shall we? Oh my goodness. Right. I always try and craft the news episodes into having a bit of a narrative. Let's see. So firstly, we're starting with the new chair of the Transport Select Committee, Ian Stewart, stating that it is disappointing that Treasury ministers have not followed usual parliamentary courtesies by not responding fully to the important issues flagged in our report. This is their report on road pricing, by the way. As petrol and diesel cars reduce in numbers, so too will the Treasury's tax revenue. Now, once again, it's blue on blue fun. Because the Transport Select Committee, the whole history of the Transport Select Committee is the Transport Select Committee doing important stuff and pointing out that the DFT are making an absolute shambles of themselves, and indeed the Treasury, and the Treasury and the DFT just not responding or responding belligerently, and no one doing anything useful with all the actually genuinely useful stuff that the TSC pump out. So there we go. That's the Transport Select Committee getting a bit miffed. They've been doing a study on they've been doing a study on a couple of things, haven't they? They did one on autonomous vehicles recently. Let's see what that comes out with. It'll be interesting to pick through that and do a page turn of it. We'll see. Anyway, there's much to talk about. We're going to continue cracking on. The ONS. So this news is everything. Why on earth did I just put a cheese savoury in my mouth while I'm doing a podcast? It's because I'm really hungry. I've got, what do I have downstairs? I've got half of a lasagna to eat downstairs, which would be nice. Which I'm now half an hour late to eat because of being half an hour late to prep Rail Natter because I got home half an hour later than I intended to because of various reasons. So, working from home stats, Office for National Statistics. Yes, all this news is while I've been away on pat leave, so there's loads of stuff scooped up, lots to pick through. This data from the ONS is very interesting, well worth going in and finding the report and having a look through. Lots of interesting features showing that currently the number of the proportion of working adults who are working from home has increased. So it's kind of around about the 35% mark. It's around about there. They had a bit of a change in survey wording, which actually increased the number. So it's people who are working from home. What's interesting is the overall breakdown then of that data. So the data kind of splitting down. Yeah. So from September 2022 to January 2023, the overall numbers are only 16% of people only work from home. So that's only 16% of workers only work from home. 28% of people work both from home and travel to work. So the idea that everyone's working from home, just shout very loudly at them. Put these stats in front of their face so that they stop speaking absolute rubbish. What's also interesting is then the demographic breakdown of this. Deirdre, hello, I'm glad you're here. Deirdre, well, you can DM me or whatever. We need to sort the stats episode out. Younger workers continue to be the least likely to only work from home. So making policy decisions that reduce the ability of people to move around, a group of people who generally don't have a car, you're yet again, Britain is dumping on young people. 16 to 24-year-olds have the highest rate of those travelling to work. Nearly 80%, 79% of 16 to 24-year-olds have to travel to work. They also had the highest. That group also had the highest rate of workers who did not have the option to work from home. So again, this data here. Oh, where's my? Let's get the Wacom out because I think there's some stuff to scribble on here. In fact, you know what? I'll get my little face up in the corner, shall I? Hello, everyone. I'm up here in the corner. Ciao, ciao. Let's see. Let me scribble on things. Yeah, this here. Interesting column to look through. Oh, this whole table really. So 16, 24-year-olds. Very few people. Kind of the numbers of people who can do any sort of homeworking very low, very high numbers of, but even generally just travel to work only, cannot homework, right the way across the board. The lowest group, 35 to 44, is still 38% who only travel to work, cannot homework. Right the way through, you see that sizable numbers of people have no option but to go to their workplace. Yeah, and you can see 65 and over. Older people, actually 65 and over is not old people, but older people in that top bracket of 65 and over, 25% of them homework only. So by the time you get to that age, it's much easier to homework because you've got larger houses, because you've got the sort of work you can do at home. But also what's interesting is that workers most likely to report working from home only or hybrid were in the highest income band of £50,000 or more of annual earnings. They were highly educated. They were in professional occupations. So, funny that, if we make policy decisions that do, make it harder to commute, so like running fewer trains, for example, we're making life harder for those in lower income brackets and easier for the well-off. Oh no, funny that. Last interesting stat is for London, which obviously has had the biggest impact in demographic shift in terms of workers. Even so, it's only 40% of workers that reported hybrid working. So this was higher than any other English region, highest levels of hybrid working across Great Britain. East of England was next, which is probably like a lot of that's like Cambridge and lots of those sorts of made up for those sorts of workplaces. But you can see that's 4 in 10 workers in London reported both working from home and travelling to work. So very interesting. Some very interesting stats there to pick through. Martha's saying also older people working from home is good. Hi, Martha, by the way. Older people working from home is good. We shouldn't force older people to go into offices and get COVID for no reason. Agreed. I think that's a good. That's fine. We need to build policies around those. Build policies around these numbers. Build policies around those numbers. We should be facilitating whatever people want to do. Hello, John Stone. Age and income breakdown is really interesting regarding why, say, South Western Railway commuter services are so far down versus other operators. Yes, absolutely. Jumping in very briefly. Content warning for everyone. Descriptions and images from rail crashes. Although this won't be tortuous, but just a bit of a content warning for everyone. Norfolk Southern. That's it. That's the news. Just Norfolk Southern. There's East Palestine. And they've put how much have they put down on the ground since this enormous derailment that has caused quite the stink, both literally and metaphorically, across the US. Yeah. But more tragically is Greece, Tempe. Really pretty shocking circumstances in Tempe. The collision of the head-on collision of two trains from a wrong-roaded passenger train colliding head-on with a freight train, killing how many is it now that's killed? a sizable demographic of young people as well who've actually been. Yeah, it's about 60 people, I think. The issue here, so this has caused chaos across Greece because there are several things at play here. Firstly, the government was moving legislation forwards to make rail workers striking for safety reasons illegal. Now, how does that sound familiar? They were in the process of making striking for safety reasons illegal. So that's obviously has not sat well with the fact they've just killed. The government has just managed to kill 60 people. Other issues is that the government was also refusing to create an independent accident investigation branch, much like we have in the UK, an independent body, despite the EU basically mandating them to do so. And the government had just been taken to court over this fact as well. There's a lot more to unpick. And actually, if there's any Greeks who want to join and talk about this and the ramifications of this, I think it'd be really. I'd like to do a rail natter on this because there's obviously a lot to unpick here, an awful lot to unpick. So. That's so pretty tragic, pretty horrifying. I think it was a lot of students in this train making their way home, or vice versa, heading back. Just absolutely awful, really, really awful. Just 60. We should not be killing people in rail crashes in anywhere in the world. We have the knowledge to stop this ever happening. This shouldn't be happening in this day and age, frankly. So we talk about. Union action and the government clamping down on union action. Well, the RMT in the UK have been getting excitable about another subject, which is they're continuing to ramp up the discussion about rolling stock and about the Roscos, and about the fact that the rolling stock operating companies are essentially a racket. It's just bonkers that they make as much money as they do. They've ramped up the prices of the train leasing costs by about 66% since pre-COVID levels, which is bonkers. They just basically ask. It's more British rentier economy stuff. It's deeply frustrating, and I'm seeing people have with dreadful takes going, yeah, but they've brought billions of private investment into the industry. What? What? Not out of the good of their hearts. It's because it's basically PFI, and they're creaming millions and millions back from doing so. And the whole point is that the billion that they bring in investment, they then get a massive return on it. And where's that return coming from? It's being paid for by the fair payer and public sector, public purse. No, the way we should be buying rolling stock is by buying it the regular way that we make public investment. Just borrow the money and buy it that way, and then you pay it back at gilt rates, which until the Tories crashed the economy, until recently gilt rates were basically negative. You were getting paid the government was getting paid to borrow money from itself. Just doolally, absolutely doolally. Oh my goodness. Just Roscos should not exist. They should be completely obliterated out of existence. They just simply should not exist. And all the skilled people who work in them, because it's not that there are it's not that everyone who works in Roscos are evil. All the skilled people who work in them that do all the stuff that you need to do related to rolling stock, they would just move into, well, frankly, just British Rail 2 is where they should be. But anyway, fine. So the RMT picking up on that, so that's good stuff. Do indeed check out the RMT's stuff on this, share it. Obviously, be a little critical. Use a little bit of critical thinking on some of the output because it's the RMT, so they're going to be over enthusiastic on some of the points they make. So do double check some of the stuff before sharing it. But by and large, I'm glad the RMT are pursuing this. My union, look, it is. Yeah. Shout out to the RMT. My little badge in the corner. Look. Yeah. RMT. It's nice. I get to have it on my lanyard. I'm very proud of that. I probably should have taken off before I did rail now. Anyway, right. As we press on. Oh, talking of rolling stock, just showing how dysfunctional it is when you do have an organisation trying to make something innovative happening, admittedly, way optimistically and without maybe without being able to make a stake. Anyway, Vivarail are dead. We knew that. I think I'd already put that up, but anyway, they are now dead. Vivarail are gone, which is a bit sad, really, but there we go. They've been doomed for a while, and it just shows that this idea that partly it shows how dysfunctional the system is, and actually this wasn't necessarily a particularly terrible idea, but part of this is this collapse for me shows a lot of areas. Firstly, the fact that we are doing all this complicated dodgy, bodgy rolling stock manufacturing rather than just buying electric trains. Regular electric trains are just running them. Constantly repurposing. We just shouldn't need to do all this stuff. Just get new trains, run them for 40 years. That's fine. Do that. We should not be doing all this bi-mode, tri-mode rubbish. Just get, useful for fringe cases while we do electrification, but it's just, it's very frustrating. Lots of dysfunctionality about this. And yeah, GWR have bought, you're right, Michael C. GWR have bought in some of the expertise to keep running a few of these services that they've got. But specifically, they're looking at I think also someone else is in talks to buy the fast charging technology as well. Because there are all these little innovative things. There's little innovative ideas that were actually quite clever, but the business model doesn't work. Partly because nobody buys, just no one's getting new trains. No, the whole thing, the whole system is broken. No rolling stock strategy. It's just a mess. Talking of no strategy and a mess, HS2. So we've had obviously we've had the complete calamity of Euston being delayed until 2040, whatever, and all the continued mess that HS2 is continuing to be in. All of this on government, by the way. The NAO have published a very interesting report that's well worth looking at, which points out that so the estimate for building the 11, firstly, the 2.6 billion budget to build the station, they'd be able to afford that if it would still have gone up a bit, but probably not as much as the 4.4 billion to deliver the original two-stage 11 platform station. 4.4 billion. A sizable chunk of that is actually the TfL station, because there's an enormous amount of reconstruction happening, like bank scale levels of reconstruction happening for the TfL stuff that's part of the scope of the station. So actually, the above ground station isn't necessarily the most expensive bit, but I tell you what will screw up and make all of that more expensive. It's obsessively bunging your mates a bunch of commercial estate rentier economy stuff to put on top of it, which means that rather than it being a railway station, it's a commercial estate with a railway station squeezed underneath. The only way you can fix so 4.4 billion for the original two-stage 11 platform station, which would have allowed you to deliver the service, part of the service earlier. Oakervy believed on the back of a bloody cigarette packet that you could deliver for a trivial saving though, for like an 800 million saving, which is not much in the grand scheme of things, that you could deliver a 10 platform single stage build. So all of the designs, all the plans, all those things that have been in the works for years get torn up, and they start designing a new station, delaying the station for probably half a decade at that point in 2020. All ostensibly for a frankly trivial saving. Then it turns out that so first of all they go, oh no, look, April 2021 we can knock some more savings off, 3.3 billion. Okay, great. That's when they start making the station look really shit. And then all of a sudden it goes, it's going to be 4.8 billion actually. So it's more expensive. This is in 2019 prices, by the way. These will be higher in reality. It's more expensive now than the 11 stage 2 build. The 11 platform 2-stage build, except that it can't be delivered in 2 stages, so you're not going to get the services until the whole thing's finished in 2041. What the shit is my response to that? Just it's what we were all saying the whole time. Oh, funny that. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, the key thing to remember is this government does not want to build HS2. They hate it. They want to destroy it. So they are doing so in every possible way they can. One of the key things I think that's most important in this is not the fact that this means that all the benefits of HS2 will be trapped until the 2040s, unless it's drastically brought back forwards. But also, I think the most important thing here is the amount of blight for everyone. The highest population density area of the whole project is Euston. A lot of non-white population who are near the station as well in this bit of Camden, funnily enough, getting impacted without anyone without anyone in government sticking up for them. Funny that. They're going to be blighted for another 15 years. It's absolutely unacceptable. It's just beyond unacceptable. It's just mind-blowingly offensive. Just frightening. just frightening. Anyway, talking of which, we had news travels fast. Lucy Moyer. No need to pile on to Lucy. Lucy, a farmer along Phase 1A, and posted this. And I don't okay, firstly, these aren't actually HS2 works. These are preliminary utilities works. So then it's not HS2 doing this work. So HS2 don't actually have any control over the fact that there's all this field. So just all this kind of demolition of hedgerows. This isn't a HS2 work site. So HS2 have no control over it. So firstly, saying HS2 currently ripping out hedges is not necessarily 100% wrong. As in, this is work being done in advance of HS2, but it's the statutory undertakers doing the work completely. HS2 have basically no control over this site. So it's not really fair to say it's HS2 currently ripping hedges out. But what's more problematic is this photo is just anywhere. It's just a digger. They could have driven that digger into the field and bulldozed half of it. So, okay, this isn't so much pointing at Lucy, actually. It's pointing at the fact that this had nearly 2,000 retweets, over 5,000, nearly 6,000 likes, and lots of quote tweets, flying around the earth all at once, with no critical thinking whatsoever. Why is this just going so frustrating? So, once again, HS2 just being the whipping boy, when the reality is that this is not HS2 work happening. It's statutory utilities not doing a very good job of doing any ecological protection while they do some utilities shifting. But this is not a HS2 site. Frustrating as hell. So, talking of which, East West Rail has learned. This is a new civil engineer story. East West Rail has learned business case lessons from HS2's focus on journey time. Communication of the benefits for East West Rail will focus on the economic prospects for the region resulting from the work rather than the journey time benefits required by the Department for Transport business case documents. Well, okay, A, fine. But B, this won't solve the problem. The problem is not solved by being snazzier with your business, with how you sell the line. It's how you've got to talk about how the line fits into the bigger picture. Talking about economic prospects was one of the ways that HS2 was attempted to be sold. It'll rebalance the economy. That means bollocks all to anyone. Don't talk about economic prospects. Talk about what it localize the benefits. Talk about what it specifically will do, what it will unleash on through adjacent stations as well. What are the service benefits and how do those materially impact on people? So this misses the point. You've got to talk about the broader transport strategy that new infrastructure fits within. Anyway, some happy news, which is that 1 in 6 rail journeys in the UK are on Thameslink 2. Crossrail is carrying an enormous number of passengers. A lot of those have been leached out of other parts of the TfL network, so Central Line, for example. But the point is that then frees those up to then carry more people as well. So eventually you'll get the positive induced demand, and you will have that level of uplift. But it's you build it and people are flocking to it because they like the high quality infrastructure. It's impressive stuff. 41% rise in 3 months. Crossrail has just been an enormous success. Thameslink 2, serious success. It's excellent, and it's just the idea that 1 in 6 passengers currently, well, not necessarily, well, probably currently actually, 1 in 6 passengers currently travelling around in a train in the UK are on a Thameslink 2 on a Crossrail train. That's impressive to me. It's pretty cool. Let's jump to Germany. The Deutschland ticket is coming. The Germany ticket is coming. It's the €49 a month. Split that, what is that, like 120 a day or something? Not that much. You're getting all public transport. This is brilliant. Why are we not doing this? Is the sort of thing that we should be doing in the UK. Desperately do this in the UK. You could do it very easily. Just do it. Instead, however, we're going to make cheaper. We're going to make flying cheaper. Fuel duty, or rather, air passenger duty for flights is being halved. It's being halved, or it has already been halved. It will be on the 1st of April. April Fools, of course. This is just frightening. So there's a surge in new domestic flights being created. This is going to impact on the modal share of rail north-south. It's just absolutely baffling. So as the Campaign for Better Transport pointed out, it's interesting that Simon Calder, who's he's a pretty middle of the road transport reporter, is like, what the hell? The Campaign for Better Transport are going, have done some homework and this will recruit the airline, the passenger duty cut will result in a 31% increase in domestic flights, which is going to increase greenhouse gas emissions, of course. Bonkers. Airline industry successfully lobbied Rishi Sunak for ultra low prices on local flights. Just baffling. Remember, the government just thinks that magic pixie dust is going to make flying fine, so they want to do more of it. They just want more of that. That's fine. So yeah, this is happening on Saturday. This coming Saturday. It'll make it cheaper to fly. The London to Edinburgh route is predicted to inverted commas benefit the most from these cuts, which means it's already the busiest air route in the UK. Has a direct rail connection. It's just baffling. It's just absolutely mind blowing. What can you say? And then and the mess continues, So we've got, instead of the Deutschland ticket, we have Treasury. Meanwhile in Treasury, we have refunds for late trains are going to be cut. So we're going to see I think they're going to get rid of the 15-minute delay repay up to half an hour. Possibly they're going to even get rid of the half-hour one and just make it an hour delay repay. So that was, the 15-minute delay repay was seen as a great success for passengers. Passengers getting actually getting something back when their trains were screwed over. Alas, not. What else? Also the plans for a sort of, it's like Interrail but shit. It was Britrail Pass, which is actually not a bad idea. Fine, like it's embarrassingly named and smells Brexity, but fine. It was going to be a pass that allowed you to travel anywhere by rail. It was sort of a bit like it could have been hijacked to become the Klima ticket. But anyway, it was proposed 18 months ago and inverted commas not commercially viable, which means it wouldn't make any revenue. It wouldn't be revenue positive, so they're not going to do it, despite the fact that it's like, no, but the point is that people would choose to then be on rail. No, okay, fine, Treasury, okay, marvellous. And rail services continue to just be disintegrated. So the ORR again reporting the latest stats. I'll run out of my ginger juice. It's a disaster. The ORR reporting the latest stats on cancellations. So this isn't even comparing to pre-COVID levels, because I think it'd be quite interesting to compare that. But this is just against the current timetable. Grand Central not doing a great job, but their services are always a bit, because they run fewer services a day, that can jump around. The embarrassing ones really are it's mostly TransPennine Express. Just a quarter of TransPennine Express services cancelled over rail period 12 from 5th February to the 4th of March. That's just mind-blowing. What? It's just, what kind of service is that? That's a complete collapse of the major through connections between northern cities. It's just baffling. A quarter of trains cancelled. That's a collapse in the service. It's just breathtaking. Yeah, Martha Lawrence say, don't forget dumping money into the gimmick £2 bus fare cap rather than something like the German all-mode monthly cap. Yeah, everyone loves First Group, don't we? We all love First Group. And talking of service failures, I mean, this is ostensibly good news, you'd think, which is Cross Country getting rid of their HSTs, which means that only ScotRail will be operating them, which is embarrassing for ScotRail, as previously discussed, Eyes Pass Him, where we discussed that ScotRail, it would have cost them barely anything extra to procure and arguably it would have cost them less to procure a long-term fleet choice rather than a short-term HST's decision. But you might think, oh, that's good news. But then if you just read the statement from Cross Country, a Cross Country spokesperson said, shout out to those working for Cross Country watching this, you might well be here. While our high-speed trains of service... Oh, the HST's on Cross Country being withdrawn, by the way. I don't know if I've made that actually clear for the audio-only people. While our high-speed trains have served us well, they have been in use for over 40 years. We're making some changes to our fleet when the next timetable change is introduced in May. This is to enable us to run a more efficient service. What? That means less. That means less service. Okay. That also reflects the way people are now travelling for business and leisure and requires fewer trains. What? To deliver the number of seats customers need at present. What? This is just a Treasury line that they've repeated. As such, there'll be a phased removal of the high-speed trains from the cross-country fleet. So, good that the HSTs are going, but bad that there continues to be no plan to expand cross-country service. There will be a cross-country episode coming up soon where I talk about what cross-country should be and what it isn't and why. But this is just Treasury. It's just Treasury. It's just a Treasury statement being repeated verbatim. All of these are bad words. More efficient service requires fewer trains. The number of seats customers need at present. The trains are rammed. I have travelled on cross-country trains several times and they are rammed. What are they on about? Oh my goodness. Anyway, so bad. And it goes from bad to worst because as of, when was that? March 16th, the Office of Rail and Road and Network Rail briefed their funding for Control Period 7 and the renewals and maintenance cash. The money, relatively speaking, is, or in absolute terms, the money is slightly up compared to the last Control Period. Renewals stays the same, which is not good because that means it's very much a real-time budget cut. This is problematic for a variety of reasons. Let me see. So, you can see not really very good news. They're saying similar to CP6, but it's not because everything's got more expensive because, inflation. Key pain points here that are worth pointing out. So, this is the emerging view of baseline outputs. So Office of Rail and Road Tier 1 measures. So these are the baseline outputs versus CP6. So they're expecting, because they would always say this, that the fatalities and weighted injuries of the workforce are going to improve. That's an up arrow with a green, so that means improve. Okay. Fine. But again, right. The TARR, the train accident risk reduction, though, no, we're not going to improve the risk of train accidents. We're going to keep that the same. Okay. Passenger on time, we're keeping that the same. Cancellations the same. Delivery metrics the same. Freight cancellations the same. Okay, fine. Efficiency, I don't like that. They've put that at green. OPEX and CAPEX efficiency. Right. This is worth pointing out that this is actually referring to the fact that basically they're going to focus more on reducing CAPEX at the expense of OPEX. They're saying that carbon emissions are going to improve. Well, okay, by what metrics? Biodiversity units, fine. Freight growth, okay, fine. There are two problems here. One of them is why has that done that? It's because I moved them, isn't it? Watch this, everyone. I'm gonna move some stuff. Do this and do this. There we go. That is what we want. There we go. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Yes. Two things that make me upset and angry. One of them is the service affecting failures. That's going to get worse. That means that we're going to run a railway that will allow more trains to be interrupted by failed infrastructure. We're just going to accept that. That's just going to be par for the course. The other thing is the Composite Sustainability Index. What that actually means, and I would recommend going back to Noel Dolphin's thread as he kind of breaks this down. That means that the asset is going to basically be worse off at the end of this control period. It means that we're going to let the asset, basically we're going to let the railway rot for 5 years. Just absolutely mind-blowing. And also, when it comes to any sort of capital expenditure, obviously we're spending very little on electrification at the moment. Here is, yet again, Noel doing some fun stuff. Nice graph from yesterday's transport decarbonisation event. Here's the electrification that's been delivered kind of to date, and you can see there's just a gap. 2021, 2023, there's a gap. And although it's not hugely clear, I'm going to draw an outline around that bit, although I don't know how clear that is. There we are. There is, here we have some known schemes delivering about 200 single track kilometres up to 2033-ish. That's Transpennine and some bits of Midland Main Line. However, the Traction Decarbonisation Network Strategy needs us to deliver over 500 up to 2050, or 2040, basically up to 2049, basically. And we are so far from delivering that, which means that we're going to have to deliver this much to actually get to reach that target, to deliver the government's own net zero requirements. Not good. Not good at all. Right, so. Do I think this would be better under a different government, asks Tim Davis. Pass. Louise Haig is very good as Shadow Secretary of Safe Transport. Whether a future Labour government would actually care about railways, New Labour didn't. New Labour gave absolutely zero stuffs about the railway, and we currently have New Labour, and their priorities all about doing nothing, just kind of like this government, except that they are doing nothing in a respectable way. So they're going to talk. They're bringing us back to all the New Labour hits, like just talking about ASBOs. They're just doing ASBOs again. They're going to talk. They're going to do like xenophobia, but just like respectable xenophobia. I am highly skeptical that we're going to see the dramatic changes we need. Yes, if you vote, we should vote out the Tories because they're fascists. But the idea that we're going to have a radical and sudden positive shift if we go to Labour, remains to be seen. So hold your local MP to account and tell them all the stuff they need to be doing, so that they feel a little bit tight. They feel a bit collared on the things that they should be delivering. For example, in terms of railway stuff. Meanwhile, we talk about the lack of electrification here. Well, the flip side of that is India is just absolutely smashing electrification. Just what is it? They've 4,000 kilometers of network just electrified now in on Indian Railway's Central Railway. So that's generally all the stuff around Mumbai area. I think that there's lots of railway that stretches across India, the middle, and then goes down the coast, and it includes all the suburban lines in and around Mumbai. Just an enormous amount of electrification that's just happened. They just electrified everything. Just insane amount of, just an absolutely bonkers amount of electrification, and they're just pointing out that it'll save 500,000 tons of CO2 annually, and save them enormous amounts of cash, about $200 million in cash a year, because electric railways are much cheaper to run. So and it's the seventh bit of India's network to completely finish electrification. So they're just getting on with it, enormous volumes of it. Even Croatia. We jump to our friends in the Balkans. Look, even Croatia can do some agreements of stuff. It's meeting in Zagreb from the directors of Croatia and the Slovenian and the Serbian railway on possibilities for restoring the connections between Ljubljana, Zagreb, and Belgrade. Please make that happen, because if you build a proper if you upgrade the connection between Ljubljana and Belgrade to be fast, frequent, and just generally nice, that'll make my life very easy to get to Serbia. But also, it's just a really good route. A lot of people want to go and explore the Balkans, and Ljubljana is really the gateway into the Balkans in that sense, because Ljubljana is reasonably easy to access from the rest of Europe. It's quite quick to drop over the Alps and get to it. Not as easy as it should be, frankly, but you can get over from Italy to Ljubljana reasonably easily. Although an improvement to the service from Trieste would be good. Anyway, the trains, actually, it's probably easier coming down through through Salzburg, through Austria, to get to Ljubljana. Anyway, do that, but then it could be the gateway into the Balkans. Rather than arriving into the glorious Glavni station, it'd be the shithole that is Prokop in Belgrade. But anyway, Zagreb station's glorious, so swings and roundabouts, but it would still be good. Everyone should do that. Also, Ljubljana is excellent. John is pointing out how it's amazing how slow the trains get past Vienna. Yeah, I know, right? It's rubbish. Anyway, so meanwhile, back to lovely Britain. Other things have happened. So there was that budget, that the spring statement that screwed over HS2 and lots of other rail investment has done the same to active travel investment. It's a cut of, what is it, about 300 million quid chopped. And this graphic's quite nice, because it shows capital investment in active travel per person a year, which is a bit embarrassing, really, because overall transport spending is in London's about 800 quid per head. In places where it's rubbish, it's more like 100 quid a head or less. But anyway, look, in Scotland, 25 quid is spent on active travel. In Wales, 19 quid. Northern Ireland, not great, 7 quid. In England, outside of London, 1 quid. It's absolutely pitiful. So yeah, Sustrans, they're getting very upset about that, rightly so. And so that's active travel, but also bus services being obliterated. Tom Forth doing another bit of nice visualization to show how much cut bus services impact on people's ability to access city centre. So a good example of the ability to actually access and use facilities in the city centre, or get to work in the city centre, or whatever it happens to be. Place is accessible within 45 minutes by bus from Leeds City Centre on the 6th of December 2022. And you can see what public transport, materially, what rubbish public transport does is shrink the size of your city. It shrinks the size of your city, shrinks the number of people in your city who can make, kind of grow the economy of that, or kind of expand, fruitfully be part of the economic activity of that city, which is not a good thing. This doesn't mean growth. I mean, in terms of circular economics, that you still want people to be able to access the good stuff in a city centre. But also that's like seeing friends, going in and doing nice things, having access to all the services that there are in the city centre. And you can see it looks like it pretty much halves the size of in fact, it does less. The population drops from 445,000 people within 45 minutes down to 165,000. It's an enormous drop. It's just staggering. It's a really nice bit of visualisation there from Tom. I like that a lot. It's pretty bleak, to be honest. And meanwhile, of course, the context of this, here's Daisy Dunn just reporting on the IPCC's report that just came out. It's another UN report with some interesting graphics. So, for example, here we've got risk of species loss. So at the current trajectory we're on is not a good trajectory, and you can just see that there's the species loss is like, oh yeah, all the stuff within that purple area. If we continue on the 4 degrees thing, that's like 100% species loss by the end of the century. That's not good. And heat humidity risk to human health. There we are. All year round risk to human health, and you can see here that the number of how many days a year that the conditions are going to pose a risk to human health, and it's just like everywhere around the equator just getting absolutely just fried. But also it's up in Europe. You see they're like 100 days a year even up in Europe getting impacted, or 50 days a year, and much of the US being hit pretty hard. In fact, there's like purple on the eastern seaboard there, so it's not good. Just like, we're on the bad trajectory, folks. And no one seems to be doing anything about it. Lots of talk, no action. And this one hits home pretty hard for someone who's got a new little one, because the kids are being born, the children being born now will be alive in the 2100s, and the current trajectory means that we're going to be warming. Our actions will mean the planet will continue to warm beyond 2100, which is pretty frightening. It's scary stuff. It's Ed Hawkins shared this as an expansion of his warming stripes. It's bleak. And then, of course, all of that happening, anyone trying to then make that point vigorously to government gets arrested and thrown in jail, and gets a criminal record. And it's a reminder that the law is not the moral judge of good and bad. The law can often, and it is indeed regularly, immoral, wrong, and will be changed as history progresses. So the law is not the measure of what is right and wrong, as indeed the judge of the Just Stop Oil case said. I'm going to just read this verbatim, actually, although I might skip some bits. This is the judge saying this. It's abundantly clear that you're all good people. You're intelligent, articulate, and a pleasure to deal with. It's unarguable that man-made global warming is real, and we are facing a climate emergency. Your aims are admirable, and it is accepted by me and the CPS that your views are reasonable and genuinely held. Your aims are ably and genuinely articulated and are supported by the science. Yeah, and it kind of goes on. It's like, no one can criticize your motivations. You all gave evidence that was deeply moving. I certainly was moved. The tragedy is that good people have felt so much without hope that you feel you have to come into conflict with the criminal justice system. Thank you for opening my eyes to certain things. Most I was acutely and depressingly aware of, but there were certain things. And then it becomes even more farcical. A reminder, the law is not the measure of what is right and what is wrong. I say this, and I mean this sadly, I have to convict you. You are good people, and I will not issue a punitive sentence. Your arrests and loss of good character are sufficient. Good people doing the wrong thing cannot make the wrong thing right. I don't say this ever, but it has been a pleasure dealing with you. You should feel guilty for nothing. You should feel proud that you care, have concern for the future. I urge you not to break the law again. Good luck to all of you. Quite an impressive judgment there being passed on. Remember, these judges are, according to Harry Cole, the enemy of the people. Interesting. Anyway, let's have a bit of good news, shall we? Regional news, actually. Serco have been binned off from running the sleeper. Hooray! Some good news. The Scottish Government can take the Calais Sleeper into public ownership. This was, to be fair to Richard, what's his last name? Leonard. It's a policy that he had championed, and it is a bit of a victory because not that it's going to make anything better on the sleeper service, frankly, at this point, but it does mean we've got rid of Serco, which is good news. Deirdre, it'd be interesting to do a compare and contrast between railway investment plans in Ireland and GB in terms of direction of travel. Yeah, you're right, it would be, Deirdre. Let's we could have a look at that. That's good news. What else? Wales closing the door on road projects. So it doesn't mean that road projects are not going to proceed in Wales, but they have put down a pretty rigorous quadripartite set of tests. 4 tests. Will that project reduce carbon emissions and support a shift to public transport, walking and cycling? It's a very good test. Will the project improve safety through small-scale changes? Will the project help us adapt to the impacts of climate change? And will the project provide connections to jobs and areas of economic activity in a way that maximises the use of public transport, walking and cycling? Those are 4 very good tests. Those should be applied to all new road projects. And they have to pass each of them, not just one of them, because then you start getting, it's for safety, it's for safety. Oh, we have to do the A64 for safety. No, that will not work. You will result in more deaths on the roads adjacent to the A64. What are you on about? It's the same with the A9 safety logic. It does not stand up to scrutiny. Anyway, so good on the Welsh Government for that. And staying in Wales, new trains arriving. So here we have the nice Class 398 Stadler trains arriving and being rolled out, which is very good news. Very happy to see that. What else have we got? Oh, yeah, we've got... we have also got the Class 231s, the other Stadlers, the Flirts arriving, which is fantastic. The Flirts are the best trains the best long distance trains. Anyway, which is interesting because they're kind of the local services. So they're using Flirts for anyway. Basically, they're good. I love the Flirts. They're brilliant. And they of course offer level boarding. So it's yet another win for level boarding on the network. It's great. It's good stuff. What is a tram train? It's made up. It's made up nonsense. It's a tram it's just tram. It's just a tram, but they run on the main line a bit. It's a bit of a. There are some benefits to that flexibility, but anyway. We can talk tram train at some point. There's stuff. Anyway, it's good news to have level boarding. Both those trains will provide level boarding, which is exciting. From the flip side, a watchdog, an accessibility watchdog, is taking the DfT and the ORR to court in breach of the Equality Act because of the cuts to station, mostly because of the cuts to station staff, meaning that independent travel, well, it's not independent travel, assisted travel is becoming impossible for people who require a ramp at both stations. So vigorous reason to maintain station staff at all stations is that if you arrive at a station, there's no way that you're guaranteed that you're going to be able to get off the train, which means you can't travel. You have to get a taxi instead, which is rubbish. Oh, it's not rubbish. It's illegal and it's offensive, and it's appalling that we're in a situation. So I hope that the court case results in the ORR having to make changes, because if you remember, by the ORR's own rules, the UK should be spending the best part of £900 million a year on improving accessibility and safety at the platform train interface. So crikey. 4 million quid has been put aside to name each of the lines of the overground in London. Continue on regional news. Overground lines are to be named. Thanks to Callum Marius on this. Very much worth following Callum, who gets up to all sorts of transport shenanigans in London. Good fun. Shout out to Callum. Hi, Callum. They're going to be named. What are they going to name them, though? Because, we had our suggestions. If you remember our London episode that we indulged in when we were talking about how to name different systems, obviously I have my preference of numbering all of the systems anyway. I think that we should be capturing and kind of numbering the various systems to make it easy to know what the type of system is and how it looks and feels and behaves. So I kind of had, there was the East London line, the North London line, the Watford DC line, Gosport to Barking line, Lee Valley lines, and Romford to Upminster line. But you might have better suggestions. Those were just rough suggestions. You might have better ones. Obviously, if you remember that episode, we also had the slightly more extreme version of the naming, which would have renamed some of the tube lines, got rid of all the colours to make the deep tube its own system. Yeah, and that would have been fun. And also we need to name the DLR as well. Anyway, remember that episode? That was episode 115. Crossrail isn't a tube line. The tube map needs retiring, and other London was. That was a fun episode. Go back and watch that. In other London news, Superloop ? Martha, actually, I'm about to quote one of your tweets. One of your tweets is going up here because I was like, wait, what the hell is this? This is a bit bonkers, and I don't like it for some reasons, but I do like it for others. It's a bit doolally, and part of me is like, well, this should probably be a metro system, not a part of the London metro system. There should be a rail thing that emulates this. But it's going to be buses. There's going to be some limited stop buses operating between key urban centres. So going between, basically it's going to be a big loop. It's good. There used to be a train service that did this. Now there isn't. Routes won't form a neat circle because there'll be like little tails and things. But yeah, again, it's Callum is keeping on this and keeping us in the loop, as it were. Ho, ho, ho. But yeah, Martha you seem pleased about this. Martha was pleased about this. Basically, all brilliant. Limited bus stop buses, between key urban centres are good, but the route numbering's a bit daft, apparently. So yeah, the route numbering's a bit weird. So maybe come up with better route numbering so people know what the hell's going on. The numbering's a bit strange. But anyway, there we go. Yes. So that's good fun. Why not? Why not? Right, okay, you've all been waiting for the actual meat and potatoes of this episode. Why is the GBR HQ... firstly, the DFT announced that they have announced basically to get out of the potential lawsuit that I believe Derby were pursuing against them. Lol. They've announced that the headquarters are going to be in Derby, which is exciting, except that as I've titled this episode, they're not. Now, why am I saying that? Firstly, let's talk about the poster. They created a graphic just to annoy everyone not using RA2. This is Gill Sands, not RA2. This is Gill Sands, not RA2. This is Gill Sands, not RA2. So that's already like, what? No, you created RA2 for... anyway. Secondly, the transition team logo angers me greatly. It's rubbish. Thirdly, this is a crew train, not Derby train. Fourthly, okay, the cathedral's there, I guess. Is this a velodrome? I can't remember. That's there, I guess. They've put Rolls-Royce there because, yes, Rolls-Royce is a bit of a Derby institution, engineering prowess, fine, but also they are a prominent auto and aerospace manufacturer, which seems an interesting choice when they could have put some more rail stuff on it, maybe? I don't know. The graphic's horrible. It's all done to make me angry. Having Derby GBR HQ, Derby GBR HQ just randomly in the background. It's just aggravating. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about why GBR HQ isn't going to Derby. Let's talk about it with this glorious motor coach part of APTP, City of Derby in the background, with one of the finest uses of the double arrow on a train ever. So let's talk about this. Oh my goodness. So why am I saying that it's not going to Derby? Well, firstly, there's no real information about what's going to be going to Derby in terms of staff. It might be a few hot desks and a flag. Secondly, even if they put 100 staff and force everyone who works in the transition team to go to Derby, that is the industry is going to remain completely fragmented for years and years. Mark Harper's Bradshaw address speech was, as far as I can tell, pretty much a carbon copy of the same speech Shapps gave when he announced that GBR would become a thing in the first place, showing that government has just not moved on at all on it, and probably doesn't intend to. They probably just want to kick it into touch and beyond the next general election and hope that, and just without any care to let the battle be had between Labour and Treasury, so they don't have to have the battles for Treasury. So even if you do put 100 seats, which I think is what they've said, 100 seats, which is nothing, 100 seats into Derby, Network Rail still going to be based in Milton Keynes, and at some point we'll have a rail natter tour of the quadrant. I think that'll be good fun. Number one. Number two, the train operating companies' headquarters are all over the place. Some in York, until they're all in the same place, which they shouldn't be actually, because I think there should be regional representation for all those. But until they're all until there is all of the controls for those operators are in the same place, then the HQ is not going to be in Derby. Rolling stock operating companies, all London based, and all the other elements of the fragmented industry. For example, you've got various other bodies and groups that are all London-based. Network Rail's HQ is not the quadrant, but actually it's their address is in London. They've got a couple of addresses in London. Hendy sits in Waterloo General Offices. The headquarters of the railway are not in Derby and won't be in Derby for a long time. So even if they put the double arrow flag over a part of the RTC, and it will be they could do it in one wing of one of the buildings in RTC. It's such a tiny little commitment. And all this fanfare of all the magic that it'll represent economically, and all the people moaning, all the moaning that was happening in York about it not being here, and it's 100 people. That's like the size of the team that I work for in my day job. We have 100 people in our team. It's just not a lot. It's not a large number of people. It's a little bit trivializing and embarrassing. Yes, Euston is the HQ address for NR. Absolutely. Is it still Eversholt House? Anyway, right. So that's it. That's it. And we can do a bit of a big face discussion about this. Martha Lauren, Gil Sands is the typeface of twee patriotism, and Gil was indeed a paedophile. Yeah, nonce font for nonce Britain. You're right, Martha. And if that language offended you, then you need to do some reading. And what I think is also interesting. Hello again, Tom. Fourth is this Institute for Government Analysis of ONS Civil Service Statistics. Is looking at the change in civil service staff by numbers, by region since 2010. And London, over a 20% increase in staff. Wales, like a 7% increase. Scotland, 1% increase. In England, though, so that's everywhere outside of England. Let's just look to England. And also Northern Ireland. It's here. That's Northern Ireland. There's Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland has seen an enormous decrease. Northwest has seen a bit of a decrease. Yorkshire and Humber, 5%. Northern Ireland, 6%. West Midlands, 6%. Northeast, 7 or 8%. East Midlands, 12% reduction. The Southwest has seen a what is that? That's a 15% reduction. The Southeast, again, 20% reduction. And the East of England has seen, what is that? A 27% reduction in staff headcount since 2010, in terms of civil staff, civil service staff. Yikes! So in terms of talking about GBR, putting 100 people in Derby is not going to radically change anything. Pretty depressing. Cool, as Tom says. Everything's fine. Right, let's end with some light-hearted fun, shall we? Let us end with some light-hearted fun. And then we can do some questions before I dip out and go and have some dinner. This is some of the stupidest shit I ever saw. The solar panels being installed in the space between railway tracks. It's not a world first. It's stupid. This is in Switzerland. It's the first time a removable system has been developed for installing solar panels. Why put them there? Put them literally anywhere else. They can go literally anywhere. You can put them anywhere else. There are so many other places to put them. Why put them there and wreck automated track inspection, wreck maintenance, add more crap that we have to deal with when we're designing and building and maintaining the railway. Just so stupid. And it's going to have trains on it. It's going to get filthy. It's going to get broken. Hopefully maintainers will smash it up. This is venture capitalist nonsense. And it doesn't stop there, because there's some fun stuff. There's some other fun stuff going on. There's the self-driving bus service that Edinburgh's been. This has been going on and off in Edinburgh for a while now. Passengers will board the world's first full-size self-driving bus in Edinburgh from this spring, after it was awarded a share of 81 million in joint UK government and industry support for self-driving transport technology. No, This is a bus that they've just taken the driver and put them somewhere else. And it probably has to have someone sat in the driver's seat anyway. Again, some of the stupidest shit I ever saw. Just have a driver. Where is the benefit to not have... There is no benefit. What is the benefit for this not having just a driver driving it? None. No one can tell me a single benefit of not just having a skilled driver driving it. There is no benefit. What is the point in this? None. It's just a waste of time. Stop it. Stop it. Oh my goodness. I just can't. Oh my god. And just to round off the fun stuff, so that's two kind of stupidest shit I ever saw. Well, there's some of the stupidest shit I ever read. Was this in the New Statesman, which I am afraid bad articles get proxied. So yeah, proxied to read this. The New Statesman, which is a mess of a magazine nowadays. Anyway, this by Henry Oliver, which is glorious. Keir Starmer needs to privatise the railways. Nationalisation is popular, but the government basically runs the trains already and they're expensive and unreliable. By brain genius Henry Oliver. The thing that I would like to point out here, which should make all this clear, Henry Oliver is a former parliamentary assistant to Liz Truss. Yeah, that's why this article is as stupid and misinformed as you might expect it to be. Because this is someone who has had their brain dissolved by going to too many IEA seminars, and just hasn't got a clue. Just has not got a clue how anything around them works. They're just so detached from the way that society functions. Just staggering. Incredible stuff. And that fact the New Statesman published this crap... Interesting. Was Henry Oliver given a backhander by the RDG to allow them to continue to exist? I couldn't possibly say. Anyway, that is just some general stupid stuff to just generally wind you up. Yeah. Anyway, right. Enough of this waffling. Let's go to questions at the end. But this is available in audio-only format. It's run 3 minutes long. I'm sorry. Particularly to the fact that I need to go downstairs and deal with the baby. So I might send your questions through. I've not spotted any particular questions as we go. So I'm gonna end the episode at this point because I need to go downstairs and look after a baby. I don't need to go longer than an hour. So. And it's already half an hour late because of me being late. So, audio-only format. Thanks for listening. Love to you all listening in audio-only format. Please do the likes and the reviews and the and stars and ratings and all the things that you can to try and bump this up and get more people listening, because it's always good when you do. And thanks to everyone watching this live, by the way, as well. Hello. Patreon.com/GarethDennis to support me and make this happen. Every little bit that you add allows me, all of the people who subscribe, you allow me to continue doing this and justify doing this, because it's difficult to manage this and a baby. Yes, so every little that you, all the subscribers, you allow this to continue, you justify this continue to happen. So the more people subscribe, the more you justify me being able to keep this going. PayPal.me/GarethDennis, where you can chuck me pennies, abuse, whatever you fancy, and the Discord server, GarethDennis.co.uk/Discord. Apparently go into rail memes and there's some fun in there. So GarethDennis.co.uk/Discord for the Discord server, which is where all the chat's been happening, continues onwards and onwards. Next week should be a nice easy one for me to do. News episodes always end up being quite time consuming because I have to do all the copy and pasting of screenshotting and titling and getting in the order right, which always takes ages. Next week, episode 160, Reshaping at 60. We're talking about beaching and beaching's real legacy, because this week, not next week, but this week was the 60th anniversary of the release of the Reshaping of Britain's Railways, which is obviously, as you know, behind me up here. It's over there. And we can talk about. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be an episode where we talk about what's in my article. So read my article that you can find on Twitter, and any questions you've got off the back of that article, we can chat about them on here. And that's it, everyone. Actually, I can go big face because I'm going to wave at you all and say goodbye. That was a high-speed, rapid... well, it wasn't. It was an hour and 5 minutes. Everyone, absolute pleasure. I'm going to go and hopefully relieve my poor wife of baby duties. Cheerio, everyone. Cheerio. Bye-bye.